The Earth was quiet the night the signal came, not the kind of quiet that soothed. This silence stretched thin across a tired planet, heavy with the weight of its own decline. Oceans had warmed, cities flickered under rolling blackouts, and the sky no longer held the promise of stars but the dim haze of satellites and carbon dust. Humanity wasn't dying exactly. It was waiting, restless, anxious, for something to change. Dr. Lara Miles stood alone in the observation dome of the Helios Array, high in the Chilean Andes. She adjusted her scarf, shielding herself from the sharp night wind that had somehow survived the planet's warming. Her breath plumed in the cold air as she stared at the monitors flickering inside. Beneath her fingers, the console buzzed alive with the routine scan schedule. She was on the night shift again, 3 weeks straight. Not that it mattered. Time had lost shape ever since the Council cut funding for long-range SETI efforts. They didn't see the point in listening anymore. But Alara listened. She had always listened. The signal came at 3:17 Universal Time Coordinated. A spike, clean, rhythmic, deliberate. At first, she thought it was a glitch, perhaps a data loop or reflection from one of the orbital debris clouds. But as she isolated the frequency, she saw the pattern, a non-random transmission repeating at exact intervals. The modulation wasn't human, not Russian, not Chinese, not any drone beacon she'd ever cataloged. It was speaking, or trying to. She leaned in closer, fingers moving across the console, her heart drumming like a second pulse in her throat. "No way," she whispered. A data string unfolded on the screen. Fractals within fractals, interwoven with prime number sequences, and what looked like harmonic pulses plotted in a spatial graph. It was as if math had found a way to breathe. "Ilara," came a voice behind her. Dr. Satvik Rao, her colleague from the signal processing lab, rubbed sleep from his eyes, a coffee cup shaking in his hand. "Is that what I think it is?" She didn't look up. Get the director. Now. Within hours, the Helios Array was under lockdown. Military satellites pivoted to confirm coordinates. Cryogenically archived AI linguistics modules were reactivated. The signal wasn't just real, it was repeating, transmitting from a fixed point roughly 93 light-years away, a star system with no known exoplanets. It shouldn't have existed, much less spoken. The message began to evolve. A second packet arrived, this time encoded in pulses mimicking harmonic series only detectable through layered spectrograms. Ilara and Satvik, along with an elite team from the United Nations Astrophysics Division, worked around the clock. The language was more than language. It was expression through geometry and resonance, a kind of music you could feel in your bones. The press caught wind within 2 days. "Contact confirmed," blared one headline. "Aliens are talking, but are we ready?" asked another. Conspiracy theories exploded. Governments held emergency councils. The Vatican issued a rare statement. And through it all, the signal pulsed on. What drew Alara deeper wasn't just its structure or precision. It was what the signal contained. Embedded in the third data burst was a map, a star chart rendered in spectral light points, calibrated at Earth's location in the Milky Way. The origin, a region near a sun-like star, nicknamed Deltavir 61. No known planets, no signs of life. Until now, the message ended abruptly on day 10. The absence was more terrifying than its arrival. No warning, no static, just silence. The world held its breath. That was when the United Nations formed the First Contact Initiative. Politicians, scientists, philosophers, even spiritual leaders gathered under a banner Earth hadn't flown in decades: unity. For the first time since the Lunar Wars, humanity rallied not out of fear, but out of shared awe. Alara received her summons in a sealed packet. She had been chosen to serve on a mission team, alongside Rao and others from international sectors. The invitation carried weight, an acknowledgement of her work, yes, but also a burden. She was to represent not a nation, but a species. She hesitated only once, staring at her packed bags in the pale morning light. "You're really going?" her younger sister Mira had asked on the call. "They reached out to us. Someone has to answer. They might be calling us to war." Ilara had smiled, but there was no humor in it. or to listen. The Odyssey wasn't just a spacecraft. It was a miracle of desperate ambition. A prototype interstellar vessel combining Earth's most advanced propulsion systems, nuclear pulse drives, and an experimental quantum entanglement array for delayed communication with Earth. At its heart was an artificial intelligence named Argus, designed to interpret unknown languages, predict alien psychology, and maintain ship stability under stress thresholds no human could endure. The crew was handpicked. Scientists, linguists, engineers, exobiologists, and one diplomat with a past wrapped in cold compromise. Commander Reza Danil, a former astronaut turned political envoy, carried the burden of leadership with a silence more profound than the stars. As launch day neared, media saturation turned to collective mourning. The mission was one way, 93 light-years, even with FTL compression, meant a decade in transit. Earth would grow older without them. Inside the launch station, Ilera watched a reflection on the inner hull of the Odyssey. She barely recognized a woman staring back. Tired eyes, streaks of gray in her braid, but something else, too. Resolve. Or maybe resignation. The countdown began. At T-0, the vessel slipped beyond the veil of Earth's atmosphere, propelled not by rockets, but by a silence so complete it felt sacred. The stars welcomed them with open arms. On board, the crew adjusted to life without Earth's rhythms. Artificial gravity, recycled air, and sterile routines dulled the mind. Time lost meaning. Yet the mission pulsed forward. Ilera found herself drawn to the windowless observation dome, an artificial construct, projecting starlight via high-resolution imaging. There, she listened again, not with ears, but with memory. The last burst from the Veridians, it had to be them, still echoed in her mind. Not just sound, not just data, but intention. They wanted to be found, and someone or something was watching to see how they responded. Far behind them, Earth became a dot. Ahead, Deltavir 61 glimmered, a beacon of mystery, of fear, of hope. The silence between stars stretched on, filled not with emptiness, but anticipation. Somewhere out there, a voice had reached across the cosmos, and humanity had chosen to answer. The Odyssey moved through space like a whisper across a cathedral floor, fast beyond comprehension, yet surrounded by the stillness of interstellar void. From inside, it felt more like sinking than flying. Space didn't rush past them. It stretched, folding it on itself through bursts of folded light and quantum distortion. The faster-than-light drive, an unproven marvel of human desperation, held steady. So far, Ilera stood by the neural interface station, watching the data cascade across the ship's curved wall display. Stars bent at impossible angles beyond the simulated viewport, while the faint tremor of the drive pulsed through the deck beneath her boots. It wasn't sound. It was something deeper, more intimate, like the ship itself had a heartbeat. Argus's voice, clear and curiously empathetic, interrupted her thoughts. Course remained stable. Estimated arrival of Veridian origin, 11.3 Earth years, subjective time, 13 months. The crew had been prepped for this distortion of time, trained in psychological modules and dreamscapes to manage the isolation. Still, the dissonance between the ship's subjective clock and Earth's calendar had begun to wear on them. Children born when Odyssey launched would be teenagers when it arrived. Old friends would become strangers. Earth would not wait. Ilera turned away from the screen, brushing a curl from her eyes. Project next update interval for language correlation. Argus hesitated. We have received no further transmissions. Signals cease entirely. The origin remains dark. That was the heart of it, the central tension running beneath every breath the crew took. They were flying into silence. A beacon had been lit and extinguished before they'd even crossed the first light year. Was it a trap? A test? A relic of something already gone? Ilera wasn't alone in wondering. At best that cycle, the tension simmered just beneath the surface. The white-blue glow of the biolum panels gave the room a sterile calm that didn't match the people inside it. Reza Danil, the commander, sat at the central table, untouched meal before him, his expression unreadable. He didn't speak often unless required, but his presence was a gravity of its own. Across from Ilera, Satvik leaned forward, tapping his spoon against a thermal mug. Still nothing from the origin? You'd think they'd be watching us crawl toward them with some curiosity. Or maybe they're not watching, said Lieutenant Abril Noah, the system's officer. Her dark eyes scanned the room as if expecting argument. Maybe they left a signal like a gravestone. They encoded our coordinates, Satvik replied, more sharply than usual. This was meant for us. You don't carve a path through space for the dead. But you do for the desperate, Abril murmured, folding her arms. The conversation died there, like it often did. Later, Ilara sat in her quarters, audio logs playing through her interface as she reviewed the signal's harmonic overlays. There were textures within the pulses, subtle fluctuations that didn't affect the core geometry, but seemed expressive, not random, like the difference between a message and a message spoken through tears. She played it back again, not for analysis, for resonance. When the anomaly hit, it arrived not with a bang, but a stutter. The ship shuddered just slightly, enough for loose objects to rattle, and all lights to dim. In the control bay, systems flickered with momentary glitches. Argus's voice sounded slower, like it had been dragged through syrup. Proximity alert, the AI intoned. Unscheduled gravitational flux detected. Ilara rushed the bridge, finding Reza and Abril already there. On the holomap, a distortion bloomed, like a bruise in space-time. No mass, no object, just a rippling warble in gravity itself, like a muscle spasm in the fabric of the universe. What is that? She asked, breath caught. Argus responded with static before resolving. Unknown. No natural analog. Trajectory intersects our flight path within 2 hours. Raises, jaw tightened. Avoidance. Insufficient data. Evasive course may destabilize quantum field. Recommend minimal correction. They watched the ripple unfold in silence. An emergency protocol went into effect. Crew were ordered into core sections. Biomonitors activated. Ilara strapped into her seat in the central lounge, heart pounding harder than she would admit. The distortion passed not with collision, but with intrusion, a moment where every surface hummed in dissonance and every thought felt somehow shared. Images, not memories, flickered through her mind, not her own. She saw a tree, vast and crystalline, its branches pulsing with radiant fluid. She saw a city without edges, shaped by sound. She saw eyes, many, watching, not with malice, but caution. And then it was gone. After, no one spoke for almost a day. Systems stabilized. The distortion vanished. But something had changed. Argus ran diagnostics and found anomalies, tiny data pulses buried in the ship's ambient memory, not placed there by any system. Foreign, but gentle, like fingerprints on a mirror. Satvik was the first to call it what it was. They scanned us. Whoever, or whatever, they are, that was a check. Or a message, Ilara added, unable to shake the image of that luminous tree. Commander Reza didn't disagree, but he didn't confirm either. The remaining months passed in a slow churn of caution and preparation. Argus adapted its algorithms to account for alien interference. Language models continued to analyze the original signal, but the crew knew by now that they were no longer trying to decode. They were being taught, steered. The closer they drew to the Veridian system, the more the silence felt intentional, like someone clearing a space at the table, waiting for them to arrive. Then, one day, without warning, the star emerged. Deltavir 61 burned gold and green, its chromosphere unusually active, as if welcoming them with light. Orbiting it was a single planet, twice Earth's mass, wrapped in thick bands of luminous clouds. No radio emissions, no visible structures. Yet there was no doubt it was alive. Sensors detected planetary respiration, photosynthetic activity that responded in rhythmic, global pulses, a biosphere too perfect to be untouched by intelligence. Then the ship slowed. No command given, no external force detected. Argus spoke with quiet precision, receiving approach request. Vector matched the alien trajectory. On the edge of the star's light, something emerged. A vessel not constructed, but grown, iridescent organic, shaped like a spiral shell unfolding in space. It moved without engines, its surface humming with layered bioluminescence. It was beautiful, terrifying. Contact scenario A confirmed, Argus said, tone shifting. Unknown vessel initiating synchronous orbit. The bridge was silent. Ilara's voice barely above a whisper. They knew we were coming. A tremor passed through the Odyssey. Not a jolt, an invitation. Lights dimmed, systems realigned. A corridor lit itself in soft pulses, guiding them. Reza stood slowly. Prepare a response team. We're going to meet them. The door opened at the end of the corridor. Not an airlock. Not a hatch. A seamless membrane, quivering with light. Beyond it, something waited, and it was not alone. They stepped through the threshold, as if entering a dream held just beneath waking. The membrane that parted for them rippled like warm silk, without pressure or resistance. No hiss of atmosphere, no mechanical clank, just a shift, soft and surreal, as if the universe had opened its hand. Ilara was the first to cross, with Commander Reza and Satvik close behind. Abril and two others from the engineering team brought up the rear, suits active but weapons stowed. The ship's AI, Argus, fed real-time telemetry to their visors, translating ambient frequencies, scanning for toxins, attempting to map an environment that refused to be mapped. On the other side was not a room in any conventional sense, but a spatial bloom, dimensional space that unfolded in curves and planes impossible to define. Surfaces pulsed with soft light, not from fixtures, but from living walls that responded to their presence. The atmosphere was breathable, though denser than Earth standard. It carried the scent of minerals and something else, a faint, sharp aroma like ozone after a storm. Reading stable, Abril whispered, her voice tight. Environmental conditions adaptive? Ilara nodded, breath slow. It's changing for us. Learning. Satvik turned slowly, eyes wide beneath his visor. This whole structure is alive. Not just built. It knows. A figure emerged. No footsteps, no sound, just a gradual manifestation. At first it shimmered, as if deciding how to be seen. Then it settled into form, tall, slender, semi-transparent. Its skin resembled polished obsidian laced with emerald threads. No mouth, no eyes in the human sense, just a shifting of colors along what might be a face. It stood motionless. Then came a sound, not from the figure, but from the room itself. A hum that modulated into cadence, a rhythm of tones that aligned to the earliest pulses of the original signal. Argus's voice filtered into their helmets. Linguistic overlap detected. Initiating context bridge. Stand by. The tones crystallized into form, not words, but impressions. Welcome. You have come far. Ilara stepped forward. Her throat tightened. You're the Veridians? The figure responded not with speech, but by shifting color in rapid bands, forming geometric fractals across its chest. Argus translated, we are the bridge, not origin, but echo. You seek the voice. Satvik frowned. Echo? Then who sent the original message? Those who lived before. Their thought remains. Their shape ended. The silence after was as deep as space itself. Ilara swallowed. You're not them. The figures shimmered again. We are what they left behind. Their legacy, their warning. You answered. And so you are tested. Reza stepped forward now. Voice calm but edged. Tested how? By presence. By intent. By truth. Without warning. The space around them dissolved into memory. They were no longer standing in the Veridian chamber, but submerged in projection. Not a simulation, not a vision, but immersion. Around them spiraled a planet filled with vibrant life. Forests of glass-like trees, oceans the color of bronze, creatures floating in air like jellyfish of light. Then came the change, machines rising, cities expanding in golden symmetry, the sky thick with orbiting structures. And then, fire. They saw the fall of the civilization. Not by war, not by greed, by listening too late. A distant cosmic event, a tear, a ripple, ignored until it fractured their world. Not just a solar flare or gamma burst. something deeper, something sentient, unbound and growing. The projection faded. Alara collapsed to one knee, gasping. Satvik helped her up. All of them were shaking. The Veridians spoke again. They spoke to others. You are not the first, but you are the only to come. Alara's voice was raw. Then what are you asking of us? To decide, to carry their memory, to prepare. A second figure appeared, identical in form, but smaller. It carried an object, held between elongated hands. Not a weapon, a sphere, no larger than a human heart, pulsing with fractal light. This is a seed. It holds what remains. Their thought, their knowledge. Reza narrowed his eyes. What happens if we take it? You are changed, not by force, by choice. What you become will echo across your world. This is a gift. And the burden. Argus chimed in, its tone wary. No immediate threat detected. But the device emits quantum harmonics beyond known classification. This is not inert technology. It is alive. Alara stepped toward it, hands trembling. The figure did not stop her. I feel like I know it already, she said softly. Because it's reaching out, Satvik replied, barely above a whisper. Reza spoke firmly. If we accept this, we're binding humanity to something we don't understand. We never understood first contact, Alara said, but we chose to come, and they chose us. There was a long silence. Then Reza nodded once. Take it. The sphere rose on its own, weightless. It hovered before Alara, then slowly descended into her hands. A warmth spread through her palms, not heat, but recognition. For a moment, she saw something. Flashes of possible futures, spirals of thought, Earth seen from orbit with new lenses of meaning. The Veridians, or what remained of them, watched without judgment. Now you carry the song, but others will hear it. Be ready. What others? Reza asked sharply. The lights dimmed. The figures began to fade, the ones who silenced us. And they were gone. Back aboard the Odyssey, the crew was silent. Alara placed the seed in containment. Argus began full-spectrum analysis, though it was clear that even it could only guess at its nature. They set course for Earth. But something had shifted. It wasn't just that they had made contact. They had inherited a legacy, a warning in the form of knowledge, a message not just from the stars, but from extinction itself. And in the distance, behind the fading glow of Veridian space, something had begun to stir. The Odyssey drifted on a homeward path, quiet and seemingly unchanged. But within its walls, nothing remained the same. The seed sat suspended in an adaptive stasis cradle in the core lab, thrumming gently, like a sleeping heart. It had not moved. It had not spoken. Yet everyone on board felt it. Alara barely slept. When she closed her eyes, her dreams were filled with patterns, geometric forms twisting in golden logic, fragments of memories she knew weren't hers. The seed was communicating not through words, but through resonance. A thought here, a memory there, as if it were mapping her mind, gently asking permission. She wasn't afraid. Not exactly. What terrified her wasn't that the seed was inside her head. It was the growing certainty that it belonged there. Commander Reza monitored her closely. He didn't say it aloud, but his concern was written into every clipped order, every silent glance in her direction. The burden of command had settled heavier on him since Veridian orbit. He hadn't protested when she volunteered to interface with the seed. He'd trusted her, but now that it had chosen her, he watched her like a man studying the sky for cracks. We need to set parameters, he said one morning, joining her in the observation chamber. This thing, whatever it is, can't be left unchecked. It's not dangerous, she said. Her voice was calm, almost attached. How can you be sure? Because it's learning. It doesn't want to control. It wants to understand. Reza folded his arms. And what if that understanding rewrites you? She turned to him. Her eyes, for a moment, caught the starlight just a little too sharply. Maybe that's the point. Down in engineering, Abril ran simulations day and night, trying to decode the seed structure. Its internal logic resisted analysis. Quantum layers nested within harmonics beyond current physics. It wasn't just information. It was intent. Self-altering code built not to perform tasks, but to interpret reality. Satvik, meanwhile, immersed himself in philosophy more than engineering. He spent hours in the HoloLab, cross-referencing human mythologies with the projections they'd seen from the Veridian archive. This isn't just a gift, he told Alara. It's a filter, a way of seeing. Whatever message they passed on, whatever warning, it's designed to embed itself into whoever receives it. Alara nodded. It already has. 3 weeks into the return journey, Argus detected a distant anomaly. A region of space off their trajectory pulsed with low-frequency radiation that shouldn't have existed. Non-polarized waves from interstellar void, broadcasting nothing but presence. No pattern, no language, just a single fact. I am here. Reza ordered a long-range scan. The readings came back distorted, impossible to reconcile with known celestial phenomena. It's not a star, Abril said. It's colder than space around it. It's absorbing. Could be the thing the Veridians warned us about? Reza asked. No one answered. The seed pulsed. Stronger. That night, Alara collapsed in her quarters. Medical scanners found no injuries, but her brain was alight with neural activity, patterns never before recorded in any human. Argus initiated containment protocols. But when she woke, she was calm. I saw it, she said. Reza leaned in. What did you see? A void that thinks. It consumes not out of malice, but hunger. It doesn't kill civilizations. It unravels them. It removes the structure of thought itself. The Veridians called it the unmaking. The crew gathered in the main chamber. No one questioned her anymore. The seed had changed the hierarchy, not through power, but clarity. They encountered it once, she continued. It came not as a fleet or a weapon, but as silence. Systems stopped working. People forgot their own names. Cities unraveled. It doesn't destroy matter. It devours meaning. And now it's coming here? Abril asked. It never stopped, Alara said. It moves slowly, but it moves with certainty. Reza looked to Argus. Can we outrun it? Current data suggests no course of evasion. Estimated encounter with Earth in 71 years, based on extrapolated trajectory. Satvik spoke quietly. It will arrive just as the next generation takes control. The children who will grow up under the shadow. Reza clenched his jaw. Then we warn Earth. The transmission took hours to prepare. Alara insisted on embedding part of the seed's memory lattice within the message, a compressed emotional resonance that could not be misinterpreted. Not words, experience. Humanity needed to feel the warning. The message was launched. Whether it would arrive in time, they could not know. Then the seed changed. It expanded, slowly opened like a flower in bloom. From its center, a projection emerged, not of the Veridians, but of Earth. Future Earth, cities grown in harmony with forests, machines powered by consciousness rather than fuel, children learning through shared dreaming. It was not a promise. It was a potential. And beneath it all, a distant pulse, an echo of the unmaking drawing closer. Alara stood at the center of the projection. The seed floated beside her, quiet but alert. This is what it gave us, she said. Not salvation. A choice. Reza looked around the room. His crew, his ship, the echo of a dead civilization's last hope. We bring it back. We teach. We prepare. And if they don't listen? Abril asked. Then we listen harder, Alara said, because the alternative is forgetting everything. The ship entered Earth's solar system 41 days later. The seed retracted into dormancy, as if hiding. Its task was complete. The rest was up to them. And as Earth came into view, blue and fragile and unbearably alive, Alara whispered something no one else could hear. A promise, a warning, and a beginning.